Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our USA Florida man run, where we just shake our fists at the enemy and they run away. In this run, we have done quite a bit overall, to expand the market and really siphon off a lot of pops. Last episode, we were starting to enter kind of the late game economy, which we haven't really, it's not really been too much of a feature since 1.4 or 1.5, which dramatically slowed down economies, but we're reaching the point where we're running out of resources, and that these is the driving factor. Normally, we're running resource companies, we're trying to produce resources as much as possible, but still, we are running out. What we are doing is we are trying to get to 500 million pups, I just wanted to kind of focus in on something, which is Austria, which is our subject. We shook our fists at them and made them our subject. I wanted to just take a look at Austria's pop line, which is, since they've become our subject, when they had a revolution, they've lost or recovered the revolution, but they became our subject in this. They've lost about 1/3 of their population to our migration attraction, and I think that this is kind of the big story of this run overall and so far, and I think that maybe we could shake things up a bit if Andrew Carnegie dies. We will keep him in power, but he's 69, he's old, and the reason we're keeping him in power is because he's helping us to decay infamy faster. But the shakeup I'm thinking is, if we go communist, we're going to start siphoning off a lot more pops, and everyone who's voluntarily in our market, everyone who's not a subject, is going to leave our market if we do that, which will cause a bunch of turmoil, which will give us maybe a bunch of opportunities to yo-yo and reverse sway and get them into our market. We could very easily achieve this 500 million pop mark just by taking 5 states off of Qing, but I don't think we want to do that. I think we've been largely relying on migration. We wanted to showcase migration. We want to think through kind of migration attraction and these sorts of things, and so I think we're going to stick it out. While migration's kind of taken a little bit of a back seat in this run overall, it's really important to emphasize just how strong the unused arable land that you get in the USA is. You see our migration attraction. In fact, we can come into the ledger, and as long as it's not bugged, which it often is, we can look at our mass migration attraction. Our mass migration attraction, the average of all the incorporated states in our country is 190. The next biggest is Prussia with 58. And so this is really why, places like central Hungary and all these places are experiencing negative migration, although we don't see them exodusing anywhere here, so maybe they're leaving entirely through mass migration? Bruh. Does Austria have migration controls? They have closed borders, bruh. I didn't even realize they have closed borders. How are you hemorrhaging that many pops with closed borders, my guy? I'm deeply confused. I'm very confused at how this happened. Maybe they just closed their borders, which is a sensible thing to do, and maybe that's why this flattened out. Oh, that's fascinating. Well, I think that they just closed their borders, which is why they're actually able to not siphon off, but we'll make them pass open borders if we can. I think that maybe we'll force them to go Council Republic as well, but these guys have migration controls, and we can kind of come in and take a look at the places that they have, and we can see that they are getting siphoned off quite aggressively, and there are places like West Prussia only has 100,000 pops. Bruh, this is grim. This is grim, and this is kind of what we've done to them by having so much migration attraction, because the numbers really have changed quite a lot in terms of what you can get from standard of living, unused arable land, and available employment. And since they don't really have the available employment, the unused arable land, and to some extent the standard of living, because they don't construct enough, you can really abuse them. And this is coupled with us being GP, having the Intelligentsia propagandists, the Statue of Liberty bonus, this teeming shore bonus, all of it combined just makes it so that, we are really hoovering off the pops. We've gotten some Chinese provinces, but only about 100 million of our pops, actually quite a bit less than 100 million, is from the Chinese provinces. And for the most part, this has been a lot of migration attraction, which is why it looks like there's not a stepladder like population often is. You can see the 4 Chinese states we took in this kind of stepladdering, but you can't see any other annexations whatsoever, even though we've annexed a bit. So that's how things are going. So we are facing a little bit of an economic struggle. I think part of it has to do with the East Indies leaving our customs union as a result of them fighting France, who was also in our customs union. That happened last episode. Wasn't really sure how it interacted. We've deleted down some construction, which is fine enough. We basically are out of peasants, and when you're out of peasants and unemployed, marginal construction is really not that valuable. And right now, as you can see, we're barely kind of keeping out of the defaulting range. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to delete construction, and we're going to delete construction in places where we know we don't have a lot of labor, or we know that, you know, it's kind of expensive, or expensive to construct, or we don't have a lot of labor, and we're going to delete down in these places. We kind of know which ones they are, and so we're going to keep doing that. We've been doing that. We're trying to do it slowly, and the key aspect of doing it slowly is that we don't want to upset the economy too much in one go, because we don't want you know, places to just achieve massive unemployment as the result of our fiddling, because we do something like collapse the price of steel with our little bit of intervention. So we've been slowly doing that. We'll continue to slowly do that, but you know, having a little bit of struggle. We have increased taxes a notch or two. Kind of don't want to increase taxes to the next level, even though we could just kind of blast taxes and kind of resolve this. We'd rather just keep it low and continue trying to make it work without it. We are running a few bankrolls. We could stop these bankrolls. I guess we'll stop a couple of them, but these bankrolls are kind of like a drop in the bucket for us. We are waiting on hitting 25 infamy, at which point we will be able to gain some new customs union members, and those customs union members will hopefully provide us with, you know, kind of some of the agrarian goods, in addition to actually consuming some of our goods that, you know, prices are relatively collapsed. Like, we have really cheap of this, and we could kind of solve the economy thing just by, like, doing a whole bunch of trade routes. The problem is that this introduces a bunch of lag when we do this. Otherwise, we'd be maxing out and doing a ton of these trade routes. I mean, we could do a couple of them, but like the game's already going really slow, and so I guess we have to tolerate, you know, the pain of prices that really aren't that great, that we could do something about, but we won't because, you know, we don't want to cause the game to lag up too much. We don't want to run like 350 to 500 trade routes, which is kind of what we would need to maybe fix this. I don't know. It's painful though. Alright, so we've kind of just been oscillating between turning off the construction and turning it back on. We also did put in some trade routes, but not an enormous amount. I think we went from, you know, we went from low 50s trade routes to 69 trade routes, just kind of putting in the very biggest that we could. We can invite them back to the market now that their war with France is over, which will delete some of our trade routes, which will be great, and it should start to fix some of our things up. Now, this will increase the amount of convoys we're using on port connections, but I think this will be fine, and we're just about at the point where, well, that's going to actually be pretty good. Electronic arc welding. We're just going to turn it on where it says it's profitable, and then we'll turn it on. Actually, we'll just turn it on. The market will figure itself out. And then what we will do is we are just about to decay, and by just about I mean the game is progressing now very slowly, where we're going to decay into being under 25, at which point we'll be able to pull new people into the market and hopefully be able to resume construction. Ooh, this isn't good. So what's going on now is our credit line is actually decreasing by a pace, at a pace that outstrips so what's going on is we're not constructing, and so, well, actually, what's going on is the steel, like, doesn't work. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The steel PMs are not very profitable. We're going to swap back to what it was before, and we're going to exempt all the ones where it says it would be more profitable. We're going to swap all of these onto, in New York, we're going to solve this onto electronic arc process because they have cheap electricity, and then we will hopefully not be decreasing the cash reserves of the steel mills, because I think this is actually the driving force right here of, you know, kind of our decrease in our credit line, which is a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary. As the Monday rolls around, we'll kind of get news on how things are rolling. I guess we'll have to delete down a little bit of construction. Kind of experiencing a bit of a mild spiral, but you can see now they're starting to employ back up. And so once they employ back up and the cash reserve increases, this will increase our credit line and it will default us. But a little bit of a scary situation here, kind of mildly. I mean, we could delete a ton of we could delete basically any amount of navy that were just like floating for no reason, other than to decay people into like lower tiers, which is like really why we're doing it more than anything else. And this would probably be fine. It's super, super gratuitous. We don't need anywhere remotely close to this amount of navy. This is kind of one of the things we're spending on that's very, very gratuitous. Also, the construction, again, not super useful, considering not only have we depeasanted everything, we've already turned on all the labor-saving PMs, or we've nearly depeasanted everything. We have max labor-saving PMs, so additional marginal construction is really, really not that useful. So I guess we'll also come in here and delete some more construction. So a big chunk of why we're having problems is that we're kind of hitting this sort of a growth wall. If you take a look at our GDP, it's stalled out, and normally you kind of fund through the deficit through increasing your GDP, but obviously we are unable to do that. And another thing is, as we increase SOL, as we turn on all the labor-saving PMs, which we did a couple episodes ago, this raises the normal wage, or it serves to help raise the normal wage, which will make all your government wage kind of expenses a lot more expensive. And so this is not something that you encounter too often, though. You really have to hit these like late game scenarios. Now our queue isn't filled up, but we're just gonna like let it cruise on this 8850 kind of figure. We know that eventually we're going to get to the point where we will want this amount of construction, although we could just continue deleting down. Again, we're deleting down slowly, drastically, like killing your constructions, like not how you want to delete down, or at least this is my experience, where like it will just kind of collapse the price of everything, and then like you often over delete stuff, and it causes other types of problems. But this is it's been a while since we've experienced like this type of phenomenon where deleting down quite a bit still is a little bit sticky. I mean, we could increase taxes here. We kind of don't want to. Maybe we have to. Certainly increasing taxes helps out a little bit, but this kind of will hurt the economy. So this minus 100k, this won't stay in as the value. The value will get quite a bit bigger. But we see our critical point here. We've become not infamous anymore, so we're going to come and take a look at who we can try and pull into the customs union, because we know we can get some. We could get Persia for an obligation, that's fine. I thought that we could get Bengal for an obligation. We had an obligation. Why can't we pull Bengal? Because they've gone to a GP. That's unfortunate. We were really hoping to get them in the market. Them specifically, because getting them in the market would be fantastic, because they have migration controls, which means they allow the Bengali people, which is an enormous amount of pops, they have 50 million pops, they allow these people to leave. So the fact that they have gone up to a GP after kind of stalling out for like forever and not being a GP is a little bit rough for us, a little bit unfortunate. I wonder what the cause of this is. Why did they start cranking up all of a sudden? I'm not sure exactly why they like started cranking up. Maybe it was because they instituted trade, the Dutch East Indies broke free. I'm not sure exactly why they cranked up all of a sudden, but I guess we won't have the option of pulling them into the market, which I thought we would, which I thought was going to be a huge source of pops for us. So that is unfortunate. That's no good. Alright, it's time to shake things up. One of the reasons the economy is also depressed is because we're still on capitalism and money is getting annihilated. What we can do is we have been holding off because we wanted to keep Andrew Carnegie because he has literary. What we can do is we can invite the nihilist here, who does not have a preference as it relates to parliamentary or council republic. We can invite this nihilist. We can promote him to government. He will replace dear Theodore Roosevelt, which that's just like kind of awkward and feels bad, man. But Teddy Roosevelt will get replaced here by this well-beloved nihilist here, who will be indifferent as to whether or not we pass Council Republic. So that's exactly what we'll do. We'll go swap over to this. We will, that's even more legitimate than we thought it would be, and then we'll go for Council Republic. And now the Industrialists don't like it, they will radicalize, but I think we can make our way through them. These guys radicalizing is a little bit uncomfortable in the petite bourgeoisie. However, we have a little bit of an ace in our sleeve in that we can readily just swap up the telephone usage because we can just come in here. I said, come into here, go to government administration, sort by where we have the worst tax thing, in this case Beijing and Texas, and we haven't swapped on everything to telephone switchboards, and I think just swapping a few of these will be good enough. I think Texas and Shaanxi all together, if we could just give these actually, if those guys employ up, that might be enough. We'll do Shaanxi as well, but then everything should be good once these things employ up quite a bit. The bureaucracy is fine, and we'll spawn a movement, some sort of movement, you know, to oppose this Council Republic pass. But we have like 8x loyalists that we do radicals. I don't think that we will get ourselves into too big a trouble. And also very nice is that we're now above 90% righteous, so we'll pass laws a little bit faster. I think what we'll do is actually, you know what? These guys won't even get revolutionary. Right now they're at -12, -10. Part of that is this, that we're running this negative authority. So let's get rid of the encouraged manufacturing in Jiangxi, because it should be incorporated now. Let's get rid of this, which that will kind of spike us negatively economically, but they're now incorporated. Wow, they have so much infra. That's like way overbuilt. And so that will be fine, and then we will be not running as big a malice there, so we will not have as much Oppo group disapproval, and then we will return these kind of wages back up to normal levels, so we are losing a little bit of money. We will be fine just not completely filling out the cube, but I think the petite bourgeoisie will maybe not join a rev. They'll probably join a rev, but we'll see how things shake out. But in the meantime, we do have this guy who has literary, and so we will still be getting the extra fast decay from having someone with the literary trait, which is going to be nice for us. We've also gotten rid of two of our greener grass edicts in order to bolster the trade unions. We want to get them above 20% clout for a couple of reasons. One, they are the only interest group helping us pass the law, so that'll be great, but also to double these bonuses and give us, very importantly, some workforce ratio, but also an additional 10% manufacturing industry throughput. So, unfortunately, the rev is a whole lot stronger than I thought it would be, with a, you know, this level of power. So it's a bit unfortunate we haven't been getting any strong political movements for Council Republic, but at the same time we have enough radicals to make a rev this big. I think we're just gonna try and pass it and try and see if we can roll any one of the events that auto passes Council Republic. And so it's just gonna be an RNG whether or not we get it. We're not going to, or I guess if we go tick tick tick, maybe there's some sort of chance we get it, but for the most part, this is just going to be trying to roll positive events, and then if we can't do that sort of thing, then maybe we'll find something else. Either way, oh man, now this person's also the freaking... I didn't consider this. By bolstering this guy, we are making it so the nihilist is no longer in charge. That is unfortunate. I had not considered that. We should have gotten a guy... Well, it's not going to matter, but maybe we should have gotten... Maybe we should have just gotten a communist from the Intelligentsia or something to agitate for it. But in any case, we're about to get our first rev tick, and we'll see exactly how this kind of unfolds. But it's probably going to be us not passing Council Republic and then swapping to bolstering the Intelligentsia or something like this, so that their cloud can pass them up, so that we can make sure that we get, you know, this guy back in power who has the literary trait. Okay, so we have made a whole bunch of changes in order to try and make this work. We have, first of all, recruited a whole bunch of admirals and generals from the Intelligentsia, and as many as we could from the trade unions in order to try and bolster their clout up to make this pass easier. And secondarily, we have swapped over every single PM to be off of publicly traded to being privately owned. I think that since we are on universal suffrage, this is going to negatively affect the industrialists' clout by quite a bit because of votes. Although it might be the case that we have to wait for an election for that to come through, and so if that is, then it is what it is. But it's also effectively a labor-saving PM for us, especially at a time where capitalist investment pool is not that important, and we do see an immediate kind of decay of their clout and a significant increase in the Intelligentsia clout, which of course brings this guy back into power, which is very much what we wanted. The the generals were generally intelligentsia, and so I'm thinking that this is mainly the effect of the generals and not so much on the PM swapping, but this is going to make this a lot better, and is going to significantly, this is minus 30% off of, you know, kind of the power of the parliamentary republic revolution. Now, we still might not be able to manage it, but I think we're going to go in and we're going to recruit a lot more generals, and we're going to try and make it a little bit better. If we can kind of tank their clout just a little bit more, this will help out quite a bit for us. I'm sorry, Andrew. I didn't mean it. Alright, so I'm not sure exactly what aspect of our fiddling did this. I think that it was, I mean, I wish I had checked how much we were getting in terms of positive approval from the industrialists here. I wish I had known before we did all this fiddling, but now they're not revolutionary anymore. And it looks like they've gone from being -2 to -8, and so I wonder if that is us just kind of splitting the money. Instead of splitting the money between 150 capitalists, now we're splitting it between 100 capitalists all, and their standard of living went up. I'm not sure if this is the cause. It'll be a little bit interesting, or that'd be a little bit interesting if that was the cause of why the industrialists came on down. The petite bourgeoisie came on down a little bit because we had increased government wages, and so all in all, there's no one at -10, so I think this is maybe what's preventing it from being full insurrectionary. And so, yeah, we're going a little over 25 infamy for the purposes of annexing Brazil, which will be nice for us. We could have annexed Prussia as well. Maybe we should have annexed Prussia instead. I think Prussia is maybe going to make a little bit more sense if we're planning on turning a little bit of a corner. And we decided kind of a long time ago that we would prefer to RP around and about in South America, you know, Monroe Doctrine and all that. And so while Prussia is almost assuredly the better annexation because they have a lot more resources, we went with Brazil for now, which should be fine enough. Really, really pleased that we have this literary guy on the throne. It's unfortunate he's 64, so he's not necessarily going to last too much longer, but if he lasts us long enough to kind of do this law pass, that'll be pretty nice. And as long as we don't have this rev kind of brewing, which this is kind of what I had expected to happen, which is that there wouldn't be a rev brewing and there'd just be like a movement, but as long as this is the case, we should be in pretty good shape. And we're about to get our first, or not our first tick, our second tick. Our first tick was the very nice plus 20% enactment chance, which is going to be huge for us over the course of this enactment. And we get political agitation, big nice, more agitators, more authority. And all in all, that'll be fine enough. But we are about to roll this event. Man, like stalling for time so I could like talk, so we could like see what this event is, because it was like right there, is like calibrating that is so much different when like the game is going so slow. But we wanted to see what this was, and I think what we're going to do is, I think we're going to do minus enactment time with, you know, with the common. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. But combined with the fact that we're over 90%, it'll make it tick quite a bit faster, so, yeah. Okay. So it looked like the East Indies, once becoming free and no longer being in a war, got an event, and since they had already had, I believe if this event works like the EIC one, since they already had what is the society tech, not nationalism, pan-nationalism, they got the option to form Indonesia, I think, which gives them different accepted pops. Now they accept all these as their primary cultures, and so even though they have migration controls, now we can siphon off migrants from them, which is going to be super nice for us. You could see that the point at which they get this kind of through, now their pop is decreasing, because it's not the case that they accept Dutch anymore. Now they are accepting, you know, all these pops, and so now they can migrate to our market, which is, or our country, which is fantastic, and we managed to pull them into the market pretty easily because we have everything they need, because they were in our market as our subject before, and so they were heavily reliant on us, so this is going to be good for us, you know, in increasing the pop. We're up to 420 million-ish, so we're well on our way towards the $500 million goal. So we have an election come through, and I think that we might see a little bit of a change-up in terms of the clout. Hopefully these guys get above 20%. but it looks like they just kind of almost got there. Once they get up to 20%, we'll definitely pull this bolster. We don't want to kind of maintain it, and they won't be needing it after kind of once we get through on Council Republic. Let's see how the Industrialists did in that election. They didn't fare too well in terms of clout. It wasn't super adjusted. I think that this was us doing shenanigans, and this was the election, and so okay, it's moving down, and with it moving down, we should be in good shape here. We're about to finish off of Brazil, and so that's going to be good for us. And there was another point I wanted to make, but I forgot what the point was. Alright, so compression ignition is huge for us. This is a really strong tech. I think in theory, if we knew that we were going Council Republic for surezies, we should have gone macro first, because it gives you one max number of companies. We will lose one max number of companies when we go laissez-faire, and if you get all of the slots and you assign all of the slots before you go on to Council Republic, well, I guess we'll have time, actually, before cooperative ownership. But if you do this, then you will effectively get one free slot because it won't take away the company. And so this will be really good. So I guess we actually might get to that point. We might be able to go international currency standards into macro, and then macro's also going to give us the MAPI. But the diesel pump is nuts. On top of getting compression ignition tractors, for all these, they're not really that usable. I think that the regular tractors is better in terms of a PM, but it is something. But these PMs are going to be huge. We're going to turn them on, I think, everywhere. And then we might have to revisit whether or not we can feasibly, well, let's do coal as well, whether or not we can feasibly, supply all of this in terms of the oil needs. But overall, the oil need on these things is very low relative to the amount of glass. And on a per oil basis, they are by far the best PM you could possibly be using. And so it would just be a matter of swapping glass off of being used, because if we take a look into the market, and we could see that, okay, the price isn't even super high, but we can see that the buy orders, the Glassworks are going to be kind of 30K is the source, and so the mines altogether will be quite a bit more than that, or a little bit more than that, I would say, but the Glassworks would be what we would turn down, I think, out of anything. Motor industries are not us. That's other people producing automobiles, which we actually hate because then our pops eat the automobiles, which we'd rather they didn't. But anyways, in either case, we also kind of annex Brazil here, and the Council Republic is going swimmingly. So big nice. Just as a point of emphasis here, our GDP was like 2.6 or 2.7 billion before. Now it just pops up to 3 just off of compression ignition alone. This is like hands down one of the very best techs in the entire game. The PMs are the best in the entire game for the mines with compression ignition. So now that we got the trade unions powerful, we are kind of pulling off some of the authority that we can use, and we are instead using greener grass campaigns in a variety of places where we really need to get some more people. But I just wanted to point out one of the good aspects of greener grass campaigns is you can spawn cultural communities much easier with them. And we spawned a Han cultural community in northern Transylvania, which is going to be really good because you can take a look. They're already 25% Han. This is going to represent a ton of weekly migration attraction, kind of from our Han provinces, which is going to allow these places to employ on up, which is going to be absolutely fantastic for us. Even once we get onto stuff being workers cooperative in all these, then all the mines will really crank up SOL and crank up migration attraction, and it will become much less of a factor trying to get these provinces, like northern Transylvania or over here, like New South Wales, which we're also encouraging migration for. It'll be much easier to get migration to come to these places as well once we pass Council Republic. The problem is, once we pass the cooperative ownership law. The problem is a bunch of people are going to leave our market, and this is going to be big sad, and we're obviously not going to like that, but it's not the worst. What we'll do is before we get our first tick where someone can potentially come in on voting, we will use obligations to pull people into market as best we can. We'll actually bankroll them, so maybe we can get an obligation on them, but we will do this in order to yank them into our market if we can, at which point they will have to stay for 5 years, even though we swapped Council Republic, and they'll hate our guts. Alright, so we're going to try our biggest reverse sway yet. Now, China basically is never, ever willing to give up, kind of main Chinese provinces, like the big ones. It's always several hundred acceptance score, and this is never one that they're willing to part with or go for this type of thing. So before we can sway into this, we need to declare neutrality in this play, and then we're going to need to capitulate and give up Pontiac as a subject, which is going to be fine for us. Now this is the only play in which we're involved, so now we can do a yo-yo sway. We are going to try and... Ooh, these guys called allied on Bengal already? That actually makes it harder for us to be able to sway in. So we're going to see if we can do it, though. We're going to side with them, and then we are going to see if their transfer states will apply to, kind of normal kind of Qing provinces. Gansu, I think, is not one of the big ones. But we see Hainan, Hubei, Hunan, Chongqing, Xi'an, and Ningxia. So this is probably the biggest sway we've ever gotten. It's certainly a lot bigger than anything that France at this point could give us, and so we're going to side with this. But not only that, it will make Bengal like us. France will have to pay war reps to Qing, which is quite a good thing, because France is kind of on the verge of disaster, collapsing below minor power, at which point we can subjugate them in some instances. And so the fact that this is going to happen is going to be good for us. They're in our customs union, but it's really not that big a deal. So now we have kind of our pick of the litter in terms of what we are going to want to get from Qing. And so let's go ask for states, and let's take a look. Now the better ones are kind of at the bottom here. We have Hainan, we have Eastern Hubei, Western Hubei, Hunan, Chongqing, Xi'an, and Ningxia. We're probably just going to take whichever has the highest pop, to be honest. And we are going to call this, that's 24 million. The problem with that, actually, is Yunnan in our customs union? I think they are, but Yunnan's going to leave our customs union, and so we're going to lose access there. Hainan has a lot of pops here, though. Eastern Hubei. Oh, they're willing to give up all the stuff that doesn't have access, and they're really not willing to give up these ones too much, except for this one, which only has like 2 million pop. And they're not willing to give up Guangdong, I think is their capital, but Shaozhou they're not willing to give up. Is that kind of the metric here? So when we look at transfer states, they're not willing to give up Shenzhen. Yeah, so they're only willing to give up the stuff that has zero market access, because they're like, look, there's no market access. This is terrible for us. So I think we're going to go for Hainan, which does have quite a bit of resources as well. So we're going to sway for Hainan. Transfer states, Hainan, and this is probably the biggest sway in terms of like minus 800 to plus now around 500. This might be one of the very bigger ones. We've swayed for people to become subjects quite a lot, but it's never been possible for us to sway for a Chinese state transfer, and so we will do that, and that will represent a huge chunk. We said we weren't going to conquer any Chinese provinces. We didn't say we weren't going to shake our Florida men at China and have them just give us Chinese provinces, and that's what we're doing. And there we have it, Communist America. We are now going to get quite a bit of trade unionist political strength, which is going to make them powerful again. I think they had slipped under being powerful. They'll almost certainly kick back up, which is going to be really good for us. We haven't put in cooperative ownership yet. I think we're going to actually hold off on cooperative ownership, maybe for a little bit, and let these guys calm down just a little, just a hair, just a smidge. But people should be pretty mad at us overall and start to leave our customs union. So this is our customs union right now. We are expecting people to leave. We are expecting them to leave right quick. We're going to try and pull a fast one in that, okay, as soon as this war begins, right? As soon as this big war begins, we have what we wanted. We have Hainan, and we could just say, you know what? No war goes on us. We'll just see our way out of this. And then, dear France, do you want... we were going to ask if they wanted to join the customs union, but they are still a major power, so they can join the customs union. Why is it that we cannot invite them? Invite to customs union, and let's see how much they really hate it. They're antagonistic right now. They won't necessarily be antagonistic. We do not yet have the difference, a difference in terms of... functionally, difference in our economic system. So I guess we pick that up with cooperative ownership. So maybe we wait until we finish actually macro to do that. So 3 years from now, we make sure we slot in all the companies we want, we kind of decide what we want, and then we go council republic and this type of thing. And so maybe we are able to preserve this market that we have here for just a little while longer. I think we're going to conclude the episode here, but before we do, I just wanted to point out we're getting 2 million exodus from Hainan, and this is going to be going to all the places that we have cultural communities, which of course include the Chinese provinces we've taken, but also places like Congo Oriental, Inner Mongolia, Northern Transylvania. Remember, we pointed that out earlier this episode. Beijing, South Carolina, Kazembe, Transvaal, Fujian, Shaanxi, Montana, Minnesota, Missouri, and Tennessee. And so this mass exodus is going to be really, really nice for us once we form the cultural communities, which we're trying to juggle and foster cultural communities using the Greener Grass campaign, and so we will be able to do that. So this episode, I think the big thing is that we went the communist route. We went to the United Syndicates of America. We haven't fully instituted everything that is meant to go along with this yet, but this is going to be the fact that we went communist America, and we are in striking distance of the goal of 500 million pops. We might overshoot the goal by however much Hainan's pop is, or try and do this. So like if the pop swings down to 20 million or something, we might try and go for 520 million, because I did say we weren't going to take any more Chinese states, but to be fair, we didn't take this state. It was given to us. It was a gift. It was for freezies. Good dealsies. And so I guess I'm not sure what we'll do yet. I guess it depends on the texture of next episode. Next episode's probably going to be the last one. We hope we have an opportunity to like really shake things up and see some reverse sways as everyone's economy collapses from leaving our market or starting to embargo us or this type of thing, causing massive problems. I think that that'll be a little bit interesting. The game's going really slow, but I think it's manageable, so we'll try and do that. We could also see that the economy has started to back up again, really off the back of compression ignition, but now it's also going to pick back up off the fact that we're going to have an enormous amount of peasants and unemployment relative to what we were running before. Most of our peasants and unemployed are actually there in Hainan. If we take a look, 1 million unemployed, and we take a look here, 1.08 versus 1.06, and then the peasants 470 million versus 514 million. So they're basically all right here, which is kind of wild, in terms of we have just like run out of labor with nearly 500 million pops, which is why we're kind of entering this late game economy, in addition to not having resources. But we managed to pick up a few key resources, I think, from Brazil and from a couple reverse sways over here. We didn't really talk about the one we got, Bosnia, but combination of Bosnia and northern Transylvania really kind of keeping us in it a little bit here. And now these places are getting a ton of migration from where other than, of course, Hainan. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a good day.